Pastor SooSang here. In this video, I want to help you to get ready for our really important congregational meeting that's coming up, where we're going to have a confidence vote on our deacon candidates. So we're going to cover multiple topics here. And so let's start. Okay, the first one is who can vote? That's the first question. Who can vote? And here's who can vote. All communing members of Revive who are 16 years and older are eligible to vote. So, who is that? Okay, so in our church, there are actually two different kinds of members. We have called communing members and non-communing members, or communicant members or non-communicant members. A communing member is a person who is eligible to receive the Lord's Supper. And so, and you've gone through the steps to join our church. Like, so you took the class and the membership vows, etc. Okay, so that's a normal member of the church. And so if you are one of those people, you should expect that you can vote, and you should please absolutely come. We want high participation. Come and vote on the deacon candidates. Now, who is a non-communing member? A non-communing member, you can actually be a member of the church, but not be a communicant member in this way. If you were a child and you were infant baptized in the church, but you had not gone to the place where you have received confirmation, and then thus you're not yet eligible to receive the Lord's Supper, you cannot receive communion, you're a non-communicant member in the church, and you're not eligible to vote. Okay. There are, if you received infant baptism, if you receive infant baptism in another church, and you still haven't gotten to the place where you are eligible to receive communion through either confirmation, but your parents, your family joined the church, you would also be considered a non-communicant member of the church. Let's say you weren't infant baptized and you grew up in our church, or maybe in another church, but then you came to faith in Jesus. Let's say you were 14 years old. And you say, "Hey, I believe in Jesus," and then we listen to you, and you're like, "Yep, we think you believe in Jesus," and then we baptized you, or then now you become a communicant member, and now you can receive the Lord's Supper. And there are young people in our church like this, but since you're not at the age of 16 yet, in our church's rules, we're waiting for you to become at least 16 before you're eligible to vote. Okay, so communing members who are eligible to receive communion, the Lord's Supper, and you are a member of Revive, then absolutely please come and be ready to vote on that day. Now, what can you expect? How is this going to actually go during the congregational meeting? Now, when we get to the portion, to the vote, here's how we're going to handle it. There's going to be a table, and we're going to call all of those by name who are communing members, and you're going to come up, you're going to come up when your name is called, and then we'll check your name off, and then we'll give you a ballot. And on that ballot, we'll have names of all the candidates and their office. And in this case, it's really easy because there's only one office we're voting on, and that is the office of deacon. And I'll just tell you now, like, for this particular vote, the names are Porio Lee, James Cho, and Daniel Park. Those are the men that you're considering. And you simply vote yes or no, okay, on each one. So each name, yes, no, yes, how are you going to do it? Now, can you abstain? You can say, "I don't really know Porio very well. I'm going to say yes on James. I'm going to say yes on Daniel, but I'm not really sure about Porio, but I don't know enough, so I'm not going to vote." You can vote, and that is an abstention vote, and you can do that on one or more of the candidates, and that is a ballot that counts. However, I just want you to understand that an abstention vote functionally will operate more like a no, because what matters is the number of yes votes. Okay, does that make sense? Now, we will record, was it a no, was it an abstention, because that does matter. But in terms of whether the person receives confidence so that he can become a deacon, it is the yes votes that count. So how many do you need? What percentage do you need? What is the desired outcome? And in our church laws, in the Presbyterian Church in America, what you really actually need is a majority. So you only need more than 50%. Okay. And that doesn't seem like a really high standard, but it's also really interesting because in the book of church order, it says they basically don't recommend that if there's a large percentage of the church, and obviously like 49% would be a large percentage, who doesn't have confidence in one or more candidates, that we may not want to proceed with, even though legally that person can proceed and then become ordained and installed as a deacon. We may not want to proceed that way. And so for those of you who remember how we did this not too long ago with our elders, and then you even did this for me, what we're really looking for is a really strong confidence vote. We're probably looking for like 80% or higher, even 90% or higher, and we'd probably consider 70 something in the percent to be kind of a gray area. And if it's below that, we probably would not want to move forward with one or more of the candidates. And then that also gives a chance to the candidate say, well, if the church only 60% of the church, 65% of the church thinks I should be a deacon, then maybe I shouldn't go forward. So that's how that's what we're looking for. We really want a strong show of unity and participation. This is really important that you come, because our church is not just about power. It's not a popularity vote. And I'm going to say a little bit more about that. And it's not just about just your like feelings about this person. And I'm going to say a little something more in about instructions for how you ought to approach this vote and how you ought to handle this. So the vote on the deacon isn't maybe quite at the level as the stakes are especially high anytime we add anybody to our those who will govern over our church, that is on the session, either any pastor or elder that'll be in there. So those stakes are especially high because we're all going to submit under these men. But nonetheless, the vote for the deacons is very, very important too, because do you really want someone that the Bible doesn't consider having a certain character to be handling, say, our finances, or to be leading when it comes to mercy ministry? So it isn't only the deacons that will handle the finances or mercy ministry, but they will lead in them. And we really want men of high character, as according to the Bible in 1 Timothy 3. And that discernment isn't ultimately just what the pastors think or what the elders think. It's up to the church. So we trust that Jesus, through the Holy Spirit, as we read the Bible, take it seriously, we look in our congregation to see who's qualified, and then we train them, and then we take them through a process to see, is there anything that we see as disqualifying, that is concerning? And then we really do bring them before you and present them. So it's always a joyous day that we can present people to you, because our church never does this quickly, and we want all kinds of confirmations through the Holy Spirit that Jesus is leading us through the Spirit in this way. But the last step is that you would see it too. So at the church, you get to do a confidence vote. And so please, please, please come so that we can have a strong showing of confidence, and show great encouragement to our future deacons, that the church really does believe in them, and we see these qualities in them, and we can see that the Holy Spirit has really given us a heart that we really are walking and seeing things together. Okay? So we want this really strong confidence vote, 80% plus, and even 90% plus. Okay.